Nasir. Happy Sunday. Happy everything. Welcome to 2011. Happy Sunday, friends and lovers, and thank you. Thank you for joining us.
You.
This is what you need. This is 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir. I am the aforementioned Robert Nasir. With me is my always mentioned co-host Amy Nasir.
Hello.
And look at Amy. Does she look? Oh my gosh, look at this. Amy got a haircut.
I cut my own hair.
She cut her own hair.
You cut your own hair down here in Michigan.
Oh, are you going to pay somebody to cut your hair?
No, I'm not.
They might give you the Rona.
It looks like I just stepped out of a salon.
That's right. Hey, and I helped.
He did the back.
Little bit.
It wasn't quite right, yeah.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. It's a new year. It's 2011. Oh my gosh, today is Sunday, January 3rd, 2021, the third day of the new year. There are just 362 days left in the year. 356 days until Christmas, 301 days until Halloween. But hey, 42 days until Valentine's Day.
Hooray.
So start planning.
I'm going to put some hearts in the comments here.
That's right.
Heart.
If you've got a Valentine, start thinking about how you want to celebrate that. If you don't have a Valentine, start thinking about what you might want to do about that. And if you don't think you're going to have a Valentine, think about how you want to spend the day anyway, taking good care of yourself.
Take good care of yourself.
Yes. January 3rd, 2021. And on this date, in 1987, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the first woman to be inducted. So if you have any RESPCT at all, give it up for Aretha Franklin.
That is right.
Or you 80s girls probably be all like, Pink Cadillac and...
Well, I mean, there's always, feeling like a natural woman.
Yeah. Who's zooming whom?
Something like that.
Yeah. It was great to see Aretha had a big comeback in the 80s. And not just... like retro, but new songs. That was so cool. Yep, Aretha Franklin has since passed away. She was interred at Woodlawn Cemetery, which Amy and I visited last year.
Yeah.
What a great visit. If you have not seen our posts on the Romantic Cemeteries visit, you can find a link to the... Oh, no, the link's not in there, but the description is in there, and you can find the link by searching for it in Robert's Year in Review 2020.
I should just say that in Detroit... Oh, so scary.
Have you been to Detroit? You crazy? No woman of mine would go to Detroit.
Really, Detroit is a lovely, lovely town, and a lot of wonderful people live there, and really, it's great. So there's two big cemeteries there that are hilly. They have beautiful mausoleums. They have ponds with ducks and little bridges and trees. It's beautiful.
It's surprising too.
Yeah, it is.
Even I who has a positive view of the city of Detroit is surprised that the seminaries too, but the cemeteries are as nice as they are.
There are dead people in seminaries too. No, I'm kidding.
You so bad.
I'm so bad.
Also on this date, Alaska. Hi, Alaska. Alaska was admitted into the Union, the 49th state and the largest state in the United States, in 1959. And that's weird to me because it was just 61 years ago. And I've probably said this before, but it's so strange to me that history is so recent. The United States is almost 250 years old. And it just seems like, well, that would mean all those states have been around. Yeah, some came a little late, but all the states have been around forever. No, 61 years ago, Alaska admitted into the Union. And again, the largest state in the Union. And it's just my reminder, again, that history is short and things have changed recently. And we should never take advantage of just how modern we are.
We are so modern, as Dr. Harry Binswanger once said.
Yeah, see, I was going to say that too.
He didn't quite say it. He said not to say it.
Well, he made the point that when you're in a context, it's your context. You just take it for granted. You take it as that's the way things are. And such things remind me to appreciate how magnificent things are and what we have now that we didn't have then. Yes.
Chris from Alaska He says he's in Alaska. That's
Chris
great.
says he's in Alaska.
Sure,
Is
you
he
are,
really in
Chris.
Alaska? If he was in Alaska, that would be cool.
really
Get
good-
it? Cool.
It'd be very dark as well.
Well,
And
you'd have
so
to
his
get pretty
question-
high up in Alaska for that.
His question is, doesn't RoboCop live in Detroit?
Yes. Well,
Yes.
depending on which, if he's still alive. But yeah, where the police are man-robot hybrids.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how you get it done.
Yeah, that's where Eddie Murphy got his start, as a matter of fact.
Sadly, I think I saw that film when it came out and haven't seen it since. I know Peter Weller was in it. I know that he got abandoned as tech, and Better Tech came along, and he had to fight the Better Tech, which sounds very Transformers.
Jennifer has
But it was very cool. Yes.
has an Alaskan joke. She says, if you split Alaska in two, Texas is still only the third biggest state.
Aw, poor Texas.
We're just going to have to consult our atlas before it shrugs.
It's also National Mind-Body Wellness Day. Now, of course, when I see that it's National Mind-Body Wellness Day, I immediately think of our mindfulness episode, and I want to practice mindfulness techniques, and I want to be cognizant of my experiences. But I think it's also a good time to review Ayn Rand's writings on the mind-body dichotomy.
Okay, wait, mindfulness. Doesn't mindfulness mean sitting on your couch for hours staring at your phone and looking at Facebook?
Well, that's your practice, yes. Some people aren't as good at it as you are. And so they do it in different ways. What we're listening to this week.
Yeah, I need to write a book on that.
You could write a book on that. You could write it from right there on the couch.
With my phone.
With your phone. What we're listening to this week.
What is it?
What are you listening to this week? I have been listening to. Well, you see, it's 2021. It's a new year. It's a new year. What are you people doing with this new year? Well, I'll tell you. I have been listening to some New Year's and goal-setting oriented videos on YouTube. TED Talks and other talks. And I listed a few of them in the show notes, even though what I'm really going to do is pull the good stuff out of them. So, for example, there was one called How to Keep Your New Year's Resolution. And the whole point of the talk, the takeaway, and it wasn't a long talk, so it's not like it was torture to get it out of it, but the whole point is you have to make your goal something that you not only want to achieve, but want to do.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You want to do it, and you want to achieve it.
Yeah.
So it's something that you can achieve, but you also really want to do it.
Right. So if you want to learn a language, how are you going to make the actual lessons something you want to do, something fun or rewarding?
How do you know if you want to do something?
Well, that comes before this, and we'll get to that too.
Okay.
You can usually tell, because if you don't want to do it, when you approach it, you'll think, I don't want to do this. So, there are clues. I've always said reality leaves clues. I'm stealing that from, I forget who, Tony Robbins or somebody said, success leaves clues.
Okay, good.
And I thought, well, that's true, and that's important.
Failures leave clues as well.
That's right. That's right. You know what recipes not to try. We'll get to that in a minute. So, anyway, first lecture in the show notes. How to keep your New Year's resolution. The answer is make it. This wasn't even his words. I had to reword it because make it something you not just want to achieve, but want to do.
Aha.
So, how are you going to make it something you want to do?
Yes.
And we can talk about that. The next lecture, how to achieve your most ambitious goals. It's funny, you listen to a long lecture and there's stories, kind of like I'm doing now. There's exposition and you're like, no, just tell me the thing. But you got to sit through the 20-minute video because the guy's not going to get on there in the first 5 seconds say,
here's the spoiler.
Break it down into doable steps and execute.
Oh, okay.
Somehow we need an anecdote. We need a kind of personal reference. We need the fun stuff.
My uncle believed in stomach socialism. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, classic. Capitalism 1984 debate. Look that one up. Yes. What was his name again?
Jerry
Kaplan. Jerry Kaplan. That's what it was. Don't look that up.
Especially
not before dinner. You lose your appetite. Although if you want to lose weight this year, look it up. Capitalism 1984. Watch the socialists in that debate, and it will help you with your weight loss goals.
And Jill Vickers.
Jill Vickers.
Jill
gosh.
wants to do your underwear
laundry. Does your mother wash your underwear? What? Well, you think you're a capitalist, but do you do your own laundry? Oh, okay. Now I get it. I want to be a collective. Anyway, how to achieve your most ambitious goals. You can watch the lecture, or you can take my takeaway, which is break it down into doable steps and execute. And one more, and this relates to our habits and mindfulness talk. Win the morning, win the day, the $1 billion morning routine, habits of the world's most successful people. And the only thing I can take away from that one is have a morning routine. Well, we talked about that when we talked about habits. Design your morning. Decide in advance what you're going to do when you wake up. It may be the same thing you're already doing, but doing it by intention will change everything.
Can I make a commitment to sleep in?
You can. Not only can you make a commitment to sleep in, but if you commit to it in advance,
yes,
you'll get better results.
Okay.
What are better results than sleeping in?
Right.
Well, the better results than the way most people sleep in is you'll sleep as long as you want to sleep, but then you will get up, you will feel refreshed, you will not feel guilty about it, and you will have planned in such a way that you now have time to get done everything you need to get done. Even the most silly things, and we've talked about this, are improved by intention.
Yes.
If you feel like doing a thing, you can justify it rationally, great, but if you determine what your purpose is, making that phone call to mom, eating that candy bar, no candy bars for me this year, whatever the thing is, do it intentionally, do it purposefully. So if you're going to sleep in...
Yeah, that actually sounds great, because sometimes I sleep and I wake up and I'm like, darn it, I wasted so many hours. I feel so guilty.
Yeah, I think the even worse part is when you sleep in, but you kind of wake up and you're like, do I want to sleep in more? That sounds like a silly thing to decide in advance, but if you do, oh my gosh, what that does to your results. So I posted on Facebook last year. Oh, wait, it's 2021. So I posted on Facebook 2 years ago.
We are in the third day of the new year. Day 3, everybody. Has everybody achieved all of their goals?
Well, if you're thinking about your goals, I want you to think about what you need in order to achieve your goals. If you've made any New Year's resolutions, I want you to think about what you need to make those happen.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about high achievers who got there through external motivation. Happens a lot with kids, child stars, especially the kind who burn out, or take a Michael Jackson or Prince, people who achieved things nobody else has ever achieved, but weren't able to maintain it for one reason or another. And sometimes I would get jealous about people like that. I would think, well, if I had somebody pushing me that hard, even if it got kind of ugly at times, what would I have achieved?
Mm-hmm.
But then I've, especially since becoming a parent, I've learned that's not just fanciful, it's foolish. Because there are people who need that, but there are people who would not respond to that. Mm-hmm. I think you're one. People who would rebel against it.
That's me. I rebel.
People who, if you give them a drill sergeant, they might go into the exercise boot camp for a year.
Yeah.
But eventually it will bristle against them and you will get the opposite result.
And I'm like, I'm out of here.
And there's another kind of person who, if you put a drill sergeant on them, they will fold.
Yeah.
You won't build them, you'll break them.
Yeah.
And they'll never rise up again. It's not like, oh, but they'll learn and they'll become tough. No, they won't.
That's so sad.
So, I wrote a post in response to the types, the folks, the many folks who encouraged that and said, sometimes you need a drill sergeant.
And lots of cuss words thrown at you.
Yes. Sometimes you need a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need a coach.
That sounds okay, I think.
Sometimes you need a teacher.
I like teachers.
Sometimes you need a partner.
Partners are good.
Sometimes you need a cheerleader.
Give me that.
And sometimes you just need to relax and enjoy yourself.
I need to do that more.
Sometimes you need to take a break, come back later, decide what you really want to achieve, and then get what you need, a teacher, a trainer, a team, a fan, to get what you want. And that's something that I didn't always know or fully understand. So if there's anybody out there who also was like me and thinking, well, maybe what I need is a drill sergeant, maybe what I need is for somebody to beat this into my head, the answer is yes, maybe you do. Maybe that's the thing for you. Maybe that is the answer, but maybe not. And you don't want to guilt yourself into thinking that.
Right.
If there's somebody who can light a fire under your behind, that's great. If there's somebody who can encourage you toward a goal, that's great. And only you know what you need. And if you don't know what you need, well, that's where introspection is going to come in.
Yes.
So just to finish up what I wrote, happily you can often play that role. Drill sergeant, mentor, coach, teacher, trainer, partner, cheerleader, fan, friend, impresario, benefactor for yourself. But don't overestimate your ability to go it alone.
Well, it's great to have accountability buddies.
You listening to this right now, you deserve training, instruction, advice, encouragement, recognition, camaraderie, inspiration. And there are people out there eager to provide it, if only you reach out to them. And that may be the hardest lesson for a lot of the, I won't say loners, I'll say these stark individualists.
People like
me.
us. Yes.
People like us.
Yeah, it's hard to reach out sometimes.
You deserve that.
Yes.
But there are people out there who are eager to provide it.
You know, I always try to think, if I reach out to people, I think to myself, well, you know what? I may come at it feeling like I might be a burden to them. But I have to remind myself, wait a minute. Actually, we may be able to strike a deal, make a trade, actually have a win-win situation if I come up with something, if I reach out or ask for help.
Yeah, the trade might not be cash. There could be 100 things you could do for somebody out there who's able to help you. It could be that they have graphic art that they need modified. Oh my gosh.
They could be an art historian who would like to take away all of the figures and all life forms from a painting, and somebody who knows Photoshop.
And you may have the skill to annihilate humanity.
From that particular painting.
Oh yeah, from the picture. I meant.
That was the funnest thing ever.
You know who you are. Those of you who don't know, take a look, find it.
Oh, Narendra says, good morning.
Good morning. Well, yes. Narendra is halfway around the world.
Yes.
So it's getting dark here and it's morning there.
By the way, Chris did say that he doesn't actually live in Alaska right now.
Well, not literally.
He lives in a different state. He's from Alaska.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something. That's.
He must understand that the caribou and the reindeer are the same species. So That's all I'm going to say.
So yeah, my theme for this week is what you need. And I want you, Amy, I want everybody to be self-ish, self-oriented, self-respecting in this regard, self-aware. Figure out what you need and make sure you're getting it. Heck, you could be happily married in a partnership that you thrive under. So you might not have any reason to stop and say, hey, wait a minute, am I getting what I need right now?
Yeah.
Could we level this up a notch?
Right. You could.
Do those words mean anything, level this up a notch? But could we make this even better than what it is?
I know that's not my wheelhouse. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, if I ever see a wheelhouse, I'm going to make sure I don't go in it. It doesn't sound fun.
No, it's like, that's where they keep the rack.
Yeah, the big wheel with the chains and the... So last week I shared some of my audacious goals for 2021. And you might be thinking, well, Robert was being hyperbolic.
Oh.
I was drawing a hyperbola of goals.
A hyperbole?
Yes, it was hyperbole. Hyperbole. That's right.
Hyperbole.
When I was a kid, I saw that word. I'm like, hyperbole?
It's kind of cool.
And it's funny because since then, I've seen bowling alleys that now have hyperbole, and it's, the lights and all this stuff. And that has to have been inspired by the same misunderstanding I made, even though, of course, they spell it B-O-W-L. But I am not going to withdraw those audacious goals. I am going to double down on them. Actually, I'm not going to double down on them because that would mean twice as much. And I'm not going to lose 70 pounds, but I swear I am going to get my weight back to where I was on my honeymoon 20 years ago, Hollywood style. I'll talk about that in a moment. I will also double the reach of this podcast by the end of the year.
Yes, you will. We will.
And I will...
With your help.
And I will achieve my highest income ever in my lifetime.
Okay.
And that one I don't have a plan for at all, but I've got all sorts of ideas.
That's where you start, folks.
Now here's the thing. Here's one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
If planning goals based on a calendar year, if doing New Year's resolutions sounds arbitrary, we run a philosophy group, so we've had this discussion over and over again. Why would you do New Year's resolutions? If you figure out there's something that you should do, then if you're rational, you start doing it right away. Except it doesn't work that way. It turns out there's a reason we have calendars.
Yes.
There's a reason we have clocks.
Oh.
There's a reason we have planners laid out against the calendar. And you know what? I'm not going to explain that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refer you back to episode number 5.
Oh, number
Weekends
5.
and Holidays took place on April 5th.
Yes, that's right.
2020. Go listen to that episode. The link is in the show notes. If you are one of those folks who thinks there's something kind of arbitrary or something totally arbitrary about New Year's resolutions and changing everything on January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what. I changed everything on January 1st. Except it can't have been everything, because there's even more that I'm going to change. This year is going to be just outrageous.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm planning the best year I've ever had, 2021. I will drop 35 pounds. I will make more money than ever. I will expand the reach of this show. Did I say double it? I meant tenfold. I think that's what I said last week.
All right.
So, for example, by the end of the night on Facebook, just on Facebook Live, forget the other platforms, we'll have 100 people will have watched this show.
Mm-hmm.
What I want a year from now is for 1,000 people to have watched the show.
Yes. With your help. Yay!
With your help. Well, more than your help. It's not going to happen without the enthusiasm of you wonderful people out there.
Yes. Yes,
And,
including your cousin Jeff.
oh my gosh, Jeff is on. How
Hey,
very
Jeff.
cool.
Shout out to Jeff.
Awesome sauce.
Yes, Robert's cousin.
He's a globetrotter. I don't know if he's in Florida or Washington, D.C. now, or if he made it back to Paris.
Man of the world.
Yes. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, because my plans are odd, and I haven't even named all of my plans. This is just top 3. The ones I can say in public. Some of those other plans, they'll come out eventually. In order to achieve these goals, I called on the best resource, the best single resource I've got
Me.
for both inspiration and phenomenal productivity. What I called on was this show.
Oh.
See, you kind of gave away the answer there.
Halfway, just halfway.
So, in particular, I've reviewed our show on grit.
Yes.
Grit as defined as passion and perseverance. And reviewed the Angela Lee Duckworth video that we talked about in that episode on grit. Mm-hmm. There was also a Jean Maroney Binswanger discussion of willpower, rational and irrational uses, which was great.
Very cool.
For knowing how to shore up your willpower and not waste it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also reviewed our September 6th episode on anti-procrastination. Except it wasn't called anti-procrastination. The episode was called Do It! And the quote I loved from that one was, and I don't even know if this was original with us, it doesn't matter. Your boss doesn't have a snooze button. Why do you? I love that. if you have a job, assuming you're not retired or that you have a regular boss on your job, your boss doesn't have a snooze button. If your boss says something needs to be done by a date, you get it done by that date.
That's right.
Why do you? And it's funny because I wrote this in the episode, and so I'm sure I said this in the episode, and if Carrie's listening, she referenced Marcus Aurelius this week and will recognize this.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I said this on September 6, 2020. We should be indignant at ourselves for not applying the same respect to our internal thoughts and our personal schedule and goals as we do for a job. I think my Post-it note that week said, "Who's the boss?" The following week, we took the idea a step further in our episode, Get a Grip.
Yeah. I need to. Okay, so I'm going to be listening to these again. And
See,
y'all should too.
Get
It's
a grip.
Great ideas in here.
Yep. And we addressed the nature-nurture question and how the third element that often gets left out is choice, free will. Because I listened to Jay Shetty, who wrote the book Think Like a Monk, that week. And I mentioned his definition of free will, which was not a philosophic definition, but he said he thinks of it as a dynamic dance between my situation and what I will do in this situation. And I thought that was a good metaphor. In fact, I said at the time, good metaphor, but the reality is you are always integrating what you are, including what you've been through, and what you, in any given moment, choose to do about it, with it, in response to it, in embrace of it. In other words, it's an ongoing process, and it snowballs, which is why in our episode on habits, we talked about how your habits build you, your habits create you.
Yes.
Every choice that you make then becomes part of what you are, the nature of you, the nurture of you.
Yes.
You nurture yourself. And you choose. So you are built by what you choose to do, what you opt to do.
Yeah, Chris chimes in. He says he actually set a date to achieve a goal, and it worked for him.
Yes,
it was
that's right.
He quit smoking on his 30th birthday.
That's right.
That's so great.
And
I love it.
It reminds me of everything, but it reminds me of how I said, always write things down, externalize, get them out of your head, get them out in reality, out in the real world. The way to make something objective that was only in your head is, as Chris says, set a date. Are dates arbitrary? No, they're not arbitrary. They're now out there in the world. They're on your calendar. And you can get accountability partners just by sharing that, just like I just did with you. So yes, Chris is absolutely right. Make it objective. Get it out of your head. If there's nothing out there, quote unquote, out there in the real world setting that date or making that decision, get a dartboard or flip a coin. Is that arbitrary? Surely that's arbitrary. No, it's random. But it's not arbitrary, because what you're doing is you're making it concrete, you're making it real, you're putting it out there, and now you can hit that goal.
Yes.
So yeah, Chris is right on the mark there. Set a date.
Well, I went ahead and I asked everybody, what are your goals?
Ooh,
What are
we got
your
answers.
goals, everybody? Well, Narendra has a whole smacking list of them.
Excellent.
That's a lot. Wow, he's going to reconcile with some folks, with some people. He's going to do, am I reading this right? 4,500 videos?
4,500 videos.
They must be awful short. But go for it. That's awesome.
Well, Narendra has like millions of views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's a teacher, and he does
Oh,
short
right. Yes, that's
instructional
right.
videos.
So this is
He teaches English in India, but he also teaches lessons about life in those lessons.
that is so great.
And zillions of views.
He's going to be doing some more singing and dancing, which is great. And he's going to be supporting like-minded people, like us.
Oh, well.
Thank you, Narendra.
If we have Narendra's
That's
support,
awesome.
if we get the millions of views that he gets, all of these goals will be easy.
Holly is going to be putting together a homeschool routine
Good.
for this year. That's fantastic.
Excellent. Good. Break it down
Yes.
into little steps. Do those little steps, and you will have it made.
And Jennifer has a little aphorism of her own. She says, Jennifer L., I should say, make an object out of your thoughts.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Make it psychologically real, for
Yes,
sure.
and I will reinforce that the way to do that is get them out of your head and on paper. You can do it with a computer, but nothing works quite like pen and paper or pencil and paper or a typewriter. I'm going to start
True.
posting more typewriter videos. The following week, we talked about habits. We went through James Clear's book on atomic habits
I remember that. It's good.
and how you build your habits and then your habits build you. Actually, that line came from the video you sent me from
yes.
Fabulous 50s.
Fabulous 50s.
Yes, first you create your habits, then your habits create you.
Yeah, that's really nice.
This is something for you to ponder and think about in your own life. If this statement is true, which it is, think about what habits we can create and foster in our lives that will serve us, not hinder. And then she goes into some examples. There's a link to that one in the show notes too. So I've compiled all of this into a plan and a strategy for 2021. And some of the specific goals are still in rough draft form. And it's definitely a work in progress. But in this case, better to start now rather than wait till it's perfect someday.
Sure.
Because as your coach will tell you, someday is a day that never comes.
Lower the bar and do it now, for sure.
Lower the bar, okay.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
I never lower the
should
bar,
say-
I just accept where the bar's at.
right. for the type of personality that I am, that's
Yes.
how it works.
And that really gets back to where we started,
Yes.
which is sometimes you need a drill sergeant, sometimes you need a partner, sometimes you need a coach, sometimes you need a teacher, sometimes you need a cheerleader. It's funny, one of the job locations where I worked, they said, well, we're looking at hiring another technician. I said, why don't you just hire me a secretary?
right.
And then I can get twice as much work done.
Yes.
Or better yet, hire me a cheerleader. And they didn't do it. I don't know why. It wouldn't have cost as much. I think you could hire a cheerleader cheaper than you can hire an MCSE.
True.
Strange. So yes, figure out what you need and make sure that you're getting that. So I'll share the particulars of my plans as we go. But the interesting point here is that most of what you want to do
Yes.
has already been done by someone.
Huh.
And the recipe is no secret.
Oh.
Do you remember we did an episode on recipes?
Yes.
But these were recipes for results,
Yes.
recipes for success. This was August 2nd, episode number 22. Look that one up in the show notes. The recipe for success is no secret. If you want to drop 2.5 stone, or 35 pounds for you Americans, oh wait, we're Americans, it's easy.
Yeah.
As I said in my 10 unpopular truths, every diet has a kernel of truth to it.
Yes.
Every diet works. You just need to figure out what's going to work given you, your metabolism, your schedule, your temperament.
Right.
Well, I know what works for me because I've done it before. All I need to do is do it again.
True. Yeah, I think we can expand on that, though, because, personality, temperament, all of that stuff, you really need to, at least I found out that I really need to know myself. I really have to introspect.
Yes.
And I really need to have the courage just to be myself and not to, try to run myself ragged, meeting somebody else's standards. And just find my own standards. And that was great fun this year, by the way.
Now, we don't usually bring a lot of current events or politics into the show, but Jim Astley asks an important question that I did want to bring up. He says, all of this advice is excellent. The only question I have is, how might the lockdown of the economy influence our decisions about what to choose to work toward? And the direct answer to that question is, I don't know. The real answer to that question...
I have a crystal ball here, so let me get this out.
Well, the real answer to that question is actually I'll go right to the summary in my notes.
He's going right to the bottom line, guys.
I'm committed to the best year ever. And it would be easy to just do what I did in 2020. Because without a global pandemic, 2021 would automatically be better. All I got to do is do as good as I did last year. And, you know, the pandemic will go away this year because of vaccines, and the economy will go back to normal, and everything will be cool. But I'm not going to count on externalities.
Right.
If I am not substantially better than I was last year, and for whatever reason, wherever you're at politically or whatever you think about the viral pandemic, if things don't improve, or at least don't improve quickly, I really need to up my game if this is going to be my best year ever. Now, here's the thing. Suppose, just for a second.
Imagine
Imagine if Robert actually gets his body back to where it was when he got married in those Jamaica pictures that you may have seen online. That the tabloids have all been spreading around. If you get the National Enquirer, you know what I'm talking about. Imagine that. Imagine if Robert really does get back to his highest year income. If he's back to 6 figures, all on his own. Imagine if Robert actually takes the show and increases the viewership tenfold. Imagine if all of that actually happens. Then if everything else goes to hell, I'll still be in a better place than I was.
You will be.
So the answer is I don't know for sure that
Right.
everything's going to get better out there. But I sure as hell know it's going to get better in here. And by in here, I mean in this podcast, in this show, in this studio, in all of you who are listening and taking these things to heart, and who I know are kindred spirits of ours,
Yes.
who share this view of life,
Yes.
that life is for living. Time must not be wasted. We must make the best of the life we've got.
Yes.
That's the short answer. The long answer is in the book.
The book, yes. Oh, Chris mentions he's got a whole list of things. One of them, he's going to be a great dad, which, that's wonderful, Chris. He's talking about his goals here, and making videos and certifications, and build a new computer. You know, Robert can build computers, matter of fact. But
Yeah, he mentions also doing a video cover of La Via Strangliata.
oh, that's amazing.
And Chris is an amazing musician.
Oh.
Yeah, if you don't have his CD yet, he just put out a new CD. Look it up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
His name's right in the comments there, Chris McGraw. Outstanding musician.
Excellent. So you're basically going to hedge your bets, kind of ramp up your goals for this year, and you're not going to count on whether or not the pandemic is going to end, or the political nonsense is going to end.
Right.
You're just going to
And
focus on what you can change.
That's exactly right. And you know that's a challenge for me because I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
Because I've been around. I'm old enough. I've been around so long that I've seen things get really, really bad. I've said it before in our episodes on optimism and benevolence. If you think things are bad now, you weren't around in the 70s.
This is true, folks.
And it's funny, I know some older people, like my age or older, who still say, well, sure, but it's worse now than then. And I'm like, you don't remember. You don't remember what the 70s were like. Oh, my God. Well, no, but this is unique now. Well, it is. You know, this is different than it's ever been. But it ain't worse. But here's my thing. Even if things get worse, even if things don't turn around, even if things don't improve, I'm going to improve.
Yes.
So yes, I am hedging my bets. And then, of course, the funny thing is that if I actually pull all of this off, and things do get better,
Yes.
then 2021 is going to be cosmically, unbelievably, mystically, orgasmically good. So it might be more than I can handle.
Can I get 1,000 people to come out here to hold the biggest hug party ever and be in like the Guinness World Records or something?
2021 will be the year of the longest hugs and the firmest handshakes.
Yes.
Firm handshakes and long hugs. That's my motto for the year. But if we don't get that, we'll just have to find another way to make it incredible. And that's what I want for each of you.
So
And I think most of you are already there. I mean,
Yeah.
so many of our friends have been kindred spirits, have done so much in 2020.
Right. Not just
you know,
kindred spirits, but very goal-oriented and just not overachievers, but definitely achievers. It's amazing.
Some of them have been overachievers. In that respect, we've got to. I know we mention them almost every show, but we've got to mention Quentin and Linda Cordair.
Yes. Who, by the way, Linda checked in. She's dealing with some customers right now at the Quentin Cordair Fine Art Gallery.
Yes.
And
talk about taking the situation and saying we're going to be at the cause of this, not at the effect of this.
Right.
Which is what I encourage everybody to do. Never think of yourself as at the effect of things.
Right.
You are the first cause. You are the star of this show. No matter what your set looks like, if a plane crashes into your movie studio or a pandemic arrives at your movie studio, if all the politicians in the world decide to do the worst conceivable things to you, don't forget, you're the scriptwriter, you're the star, you're the director.
Yes.
Don't ever let them take that away from you.
Yes, mastery.
You know, Jay has said a few great things in the chat here, and the point is he understands you. Nobody's going to make your life great. You're going to make your life great.
Yes, be your own hero.
The corollary of that is that you shouldn't let anybody tear down your life either. Nobody deserves to screw up your life except you.
Right. Jim has an interesting comment. He says, one more question, Robert. Are you sure your real name isn't Charles Atlas?
Charles Atlas. Oh, my gosh. By the end of 2021, you watch. Mm-hmm. In fact, remember I said all diets work? It's funny because there's so many people right now who are paleo or full carnivore. And yet, at the same time, I look at Jack LaLanne, another Charles Atlas type.
Yeah.
Vegan till he died in his late 90s in the most incredible buff condition you've ever seen.
He was 94 years old when he died.
I'm not going to do vegan this year, but my point is, I know what works for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have people who are going to tell me, Robert, you're doing the stupidest thing by, this combination of things that I'm doing. But for that,
we love our friends who tell us we're stupid.
I love it. No, I really do, because it proves they care about you.
That's true.
People don't want me to waste away by doing the wrong diet.
That's true.
And that's very good of them to tell me how stupid I am.
We love all of our corrector friends out there. You know who you are.
The correctors know who they are, too. There's only one real corrector, capital T, capital C, but there's certainly a lot of folks taking on that role. So my only homework for you this week is decide, if you haven't already, on January 1st, New Year's Day, decide today on January 3rd what 2021 looks like for you. And write it down and put yourself in the driver's seat of that.
Yes.
So whether the economy turns around, actually the economy is crazy strong considering what it's happening, but that's Keith Weiner would point out those aren't real numbers. That's the stock market. What's really happening is capital destruction and all sorts of havoc, which is true. But the point is, whatever happens in the economy, whatever happens in politics, whatever happens with the virus, make sure that you are in the driver's seat.
Yes.
You decide not how you're going to react to all of those things, but what you're going to do about them for your life. It sounds like the same thing, but it's not. You are the creator, not the reactor. I hate the term proactive because it's a neologism, and I hate all neologisms, all new made-up words. But I want you to be proactive. I don't want you to be reactive. I want you to drive this, not train, because trains are on tracks and they're kind of stuck. Drive this car, drive this race car. Mm-hmm. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I love finding out what Robert hates.
Oh, man. I've been on some rants lately. I actually had to take one down this week.
Oh.
Yeah, I got on a real tear. You get me ranting, and I make children cry.
Are we both seething cauldrons of cynicism inside?
We have our moments. So my homework for you this week.
Before you get into the homework.
Oh, we got some more comments.
Jennifer says she's going to raise their puppy to be a well-adjusted doggy in adulthood.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she was the sweetest puppy.
Great. And then Sam says he wants to talk about entrepreneurship, which I don't know. We might actually get into another show.
Well, technically, I am an entrepreneur.
You are. My goodness.
Because I don't have a job, and I do things. I think that's the definition of entrepreneurship, right?
He says, entrepreneurship is noticing discoordination and acting to eliminate it. This is something I've realized recently. Grateful for the entrepreneurs giving me what I want. Well, that's an interesting way. It's a different way of going at it.
Actually, that's powerful because that's not something that I'm doing well. It's not one of my focuses, but it needs to be. So that's good. And I will be reviewing that.
Yeah, usually when I think of creating in terms of capitalism and entrepreneurship, I think of finding something that somebody hasn't done yet and then doing it.
Yes.
But in this case, it's sort of coming from a different perspective of kind of like basically relieving a pain that people have that no one else is relieving, kind of thing, which can be very helpful as well.
It's also funny that Sam says, I'm happy you listened to Keith. Keith red-pilled me.
What does this mean again?
That's the funny thing. And you're just like me. I had to look it up.
Is Keith in the Matrix? Is that something about
I don't even know if Keith used that expression.
Okay.
But somebody used that expression, or I went to use it in response to somebody. And somebody basically was pulling everybody who doesn't agree with me is sheep.
Oh, sheeple.
Everybody who doesn't, you're all sheep. Nobody thinks but me. Nobody is rational but me. And everybody who doesn't think like I do are just blue-pilled or red-pilled. And I had to look up which one is the blue and which is the red. And I guess it's different than the little blue pill because apparently it's a bad thing. And so the red pill is... it's all the Matrix. It's all the movie that we saw way back when and haven't seen since.
Sam says that's not what he meant.
Oh, it's not what he meant.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
all right. Well, we're just going to have to define what this...
I don't know what red-pilled means if it's not that.
Red-pilled
But I did look it up, and it turns out the red pill is the pill you choose if you want to see the facts of reality.
Oh, I see.
If you want to escape from the Matrix and see the way things really are.
Got it.
And you take the blue pill if you just want to be comfortable and lay in your pod and let them live off your body fluids.
Yes, so you got it right. Sam says, I meant he helped me view reality in a different way.
I think I got that right then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying, Sam, that you're saying that other people are just sheep.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I'm sorry. This relates back to the rant that I was on earlier this week.
Yeah.
I need to avoid that because rants, they can be satisfying. They get out the tension, but, you get addicted to them. And I know people whose whole life is a rant, or at least their whole social media life is a rant, and I don't really get that.
Jay says, I prefer the blue-green pill.
That's right. Well, Jay's whole project is to get more and more people to read and memorize Atlas Shrugged.
You're just talking about the Cordairs, and Linda's on now. She says, better late than never, of course.
What, you think I'm going to repeat what I said? She should have caught it earlier.
No, you didn't. You didn't finish what you were going to say. They went from they have a...
Yes, we talked about the kind of resilience that says, I don't care what's happening out there, I'm going to make this amazing.
Right.
And they responded to the pandemic by reopening their doors when they weren't allowed to do it.
Yes.
The state, the governor shut them down again. They opened again. It got to the point where they were receiving some threats they couldn't say no to, but eventually they got past that, reopened the store.
Yes.
But not just that, because California presents some challenges to a business like that you don't get anywhere else. They opened up a second location in Wyoming.
In Jackson, Wyoming.
And the primary location is still there too. They're still doing business out of Napa. And it's so we were talking about how, you need to plan a year where you're not going to be at the effect, where you're going to be at the cause, where you're not going to let what's going on out there stop you from achieving magnificent results.
Yeah, talk about being not a reactor, but a creator, for goodness sake. Yes. That's so amazing. So go to Cordair.com, that's Quent Cordair Fine Art Gallery, and see what's happening there. And they're just amazing. Amazing people.
Yes.
You want to know them because they will inspire you.
And
not just their products, which will really inspire you, but just them existing, being in the world, making such happiness. It's wonderful.
Yes, and Jay is right. Take the blue-green pill, which means read Atlas Shrugged and take it to heart and take it to mind. When you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes. when you read the book.
Although looking at our commenters, I'm guessing half of our audience has already read the book. So they know exactly what Jay is talking about there when he says, oh, take the blue-green pill. Very cool. So yeah, your homework, again, decide what 2021 is going to look like for you. That's why my Post-it note of the week won't apply to anyone but me, but here it is. My Post-it note for the week says Hollywood. That's it.
Hollywood.
Just Hollywood. So I'm going Hollywood. When you're looking for inspiration, you can look at Olympic athletes if you have an athletic goal. You can look at star achievers in all sorts of different areas. You can look at Warren Buffett if you're looking at finance. You can look at for inspiration. Well, I'm looking for inspiration from Hollywood because I have some physical fitness goals that are impossible. And yet, when I see actors train for a role, whether it's like getting really buff, like, Sylvester Stallone is 65 years old and decides to get in condition to do another Rambo film, or, Matthew McConaughey or Christian Bale, the kind of guys who say, I need to lose, 300 pounds and I only weigh 250, and, just crazy, crazy stuff. It reminds me that it's doable. And in particular, if I had a role, if Hollywood called me up and said, Robert Nasir, we've heard your podcast and you seem like the world's worst actor, but we need you for this role. The only catch is we need you to weigh 175 pounds by, May 1st.
Yeah, you would be able to do it.
Well, if the money was right, I would find a way to do it.
Yes.
Well, all that tells me is it's possible. So the word Hollywood, for me, on this Post-it note that will be on my mirror for the next week, just means it's possible. I've used the expression, if anybody can do it, you can. And usually you say that to encourage somebody like, Steve, if any one person can do this, it's going to be you. But what I mean by that is something more general. If anybody can do it, you can do it. If it's possible, then, barring some specific limitation, like you only have one leg and I want you to run the marathon, but barring that, if it's possible, if anybody can do it, you can do it. And if anybody can drop 35 pounds over the course of a year, I can do it.
Yeah.
Because I've done it before. And those guys in Hollywood do it. So that's why my Post-it note says Hollywood. And with that said, I'm going to wrap this up by saying show notes, including the links to all 5 of those great episodes that Amy's got to listen to again, and so do you.
Yes, I'm going to be listening to them, and I'm going to love them. And
everything else that we've talked about in this show, or at least some links to information about them, will be posted within 10 minutes after the show. Questions and comments can be left for us in the 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir Facebook group. Especially, we'd love to hear anything that you would love to hear us talk about, or anything you want us to talk about, so you can leave us lots of comments.
Yes.
And questions. Oh, the chat has been great today.
Yes. Thank you for all of your wonderful chattiness. I love it.
It really is. Because we're going to increase the viewership of the show tenfold over the course of the year, we're also going to increase sponsorship of the show over tenfold during the course of the year. So if you want to sponsor the show financially, we have 3 new patrons this month. Thank you so much. You know who you are. One of these days I'm going to embarrass everybody by putting at least their first names out there, because I really love the fact that people are doing this for us. If you want to join the patrons, go to patreon.com/Robert Nasir. If you prefer another platform, message me and I will give you a PayPal address. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, all of you. Thank you for joining us. This is the first, we haven't done a show. We have not done an episode of this show since 2020.
God, it's been such a long time.
And this is the first show of 2021, the capital B best, capital Y year, capital E ever, best year ever, and we want you to go on this journey with us. And if we can have even the smallest part in making this year better for you, making this year happier for you, making this year a little more fun for you, that is why we're here. And we get so much back from you. Thank you so much. We wish each of you, each and every one of you, success. We wish you flourishing, power. We wish you a happy new year.
Wow.
A new year. 365 opportunities. You've used 2 of them already. Make the next 363 amazing.
Yes.
And as always, and maybe more than ever, we wish each and every one of you love.